There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
My question is, when you guys tackle this now, and you have so many different dynamic characters, but you've done so many other shows, how do you differentiate your characters coming into it? Because now you're giving this character, I'm going to assume you have a amount of freedom. How do you differentiate between shows? To make every character different?
Well, I think the actors help. Once the actors come in and bring the characters to life, I think that instantly it makes them a little different than what you had in your head. So now they're different than other things as well. And
yeah, I mean, with Supermansion versus like a Robot Chicken, I would say Supermansion is a serialized show. It's, you know, you have lots of characters. Robot Chicken, you can do a joke in 5 seconds and then you're on to the next one. So I think that's what makes it a lot better.
But it was hard because we had done the DC Comics specials and I parodied so many superheroes that it was something we thought about a long time. It was very hard, or took time at least, to make sure Titanium Rex wasn't like the Robot Chicken Superman or the Robot Chicken Green Lantern, or, you know, everything had to be original.
Yep.
You worked on Amazing Spider-Man over at Marvel. So if you watch the show, you notice that all these characters kind of have follow stereotypical tropes and archetypes. Like Titanium Rex is a Superman, Black Saturn is a Batman, and then there's a Wonder Woman and Captain America. How did you guys go through a process of choosing what characters you kind of wanted to do tropes?
I think there had to be a joke attached to the trope that I thought wasn't funny for just one joke, but could be funny for a bunch of episodes. So with the Batman trope, it was like, well, what if Batman's parents never died, and so he was just a rich kid? What would he grow up to be? Like, oh, well, that guy would be a massive tool in a way, in a way that would be funny for however many episodes we wanted to write him for. You know, it wouldn't be just a one episode joke. So. Unlike an Aquaman type character. Yeah, who was just like, oh, he talks to fish and that's funny, and but how many times can you make that joke? You know, but with a tool, he can just be a tool in every situation, and it's funny every time.
And then it evolves from there, where he introduces the Courtney character which is Brecken. But again, if you had this trust fund kid who wants to befriend and become best friends with somebody, what's the type of person that he would then end up being best friends with?
An even bigger tool.
An even bigger tool. A valet.
And he
becomes got the best job of all time.
And he becomes his Robin, And so I think that's a really good question, but it's finding the tropes that
the personalities
that create humor that can last for seasons and seasons.
And if you're gonna get someone to
play a tool.
if you're gonna get someone to play a tool, I'm your Huckleberry. But I think the amazing thing, I don't like to do it when he's present, but the amazing thing about Zeb is that because Zeb and Matt both come from comics and stuff like that, then if you're going to if we're just gonna do the DC special, you can have a jackass like me and go, Aquaman talks to fish, let's have him in a sushi restaurant crying or whatever. You can do that, which that's mine, you can't take it. But But if you're going to create your own new characters, creating a new superhero, especially now, is not easy because everything has been done. Again, we were talking before, but, DC had Cocaine Man back in the 30s or whatever it was back in the day. So you need someone who has the knowledge of Zeb and Matt to create these perfect characters that are lampooning existing characters but have their own originality, which Black Saturn has and the Groner and stuff like that. And it is, as an actor, it lets you come into it with this fantastic foundation that Zeb and Matt have created, where then you get to build on with the funny voices and all the fun, and they let me riff in the booth and stuff like that. But you need that foundation, and if you're gonna lampoon known characters and create original ones, you need someone who has the knowledge that they have of legit comics and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, don't drink mutant. It makes you ramble and start to fucking sweat.
Sponsor.
It's not my sponsor, okay? If they're gonna sponsor it, they're gonna sponsor my fucking heart attack. I had a sip of mutant Red Dawn, and I feel like a Wolverine. I feel like C. Thomas Howell at the end of Red Dawn. God, it is like liquid coming from my face. Ugh.
Now that the villains have teamed up with the superheroes, and you say they're moving into the house with them, further down the line, do you see any superheroes making a switch over to the bad side, getting corrupted now that they're living in the same space?
Maybe.
That's fine. Matt always pitches me on that. That's a mad idea that he's.
I just say maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You
See what
just kind of
happens.
shit on Matt. I think Matt's
There is
only
one
throw
that
him
he
under the
doesn't
bus.
realize he's already writing. He's already writing one of them.
You're like, yeah, that's a mad idea. He keeps throwing me.
Yeah. There's one who teams up with the biggest of the villains in this season, even though
Yeah, there's
he
a little
doesn't realize.
bit of cross pollination going on for sure.
Yeah, a lot of love affairs too.
Which brings us to Black Saturn. Will he ever
Yeah.
find love?
Things are bound to happen.
Will Black Saturn ever find love?
Yes, he's looking hard.
He is looking hard.
And
I think him and Courtney.
and there is movement in that storyline for sure
Yes.
over this season. We had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And that's something that's what's fun about having a lot of writers in the room is when we did that future episode in season 2, someone just suggested that the Groner should be wearing a wedding ring and just like subtly suggest that they might be married, and then that just blossomed into this whole thing for season 3, which has been so much fun.
So what you're saying is in season 3, the Groner and Black Saturn may have a romantic relationship.
The
Maybe
future
with each
keeps
other, maybe
changing.
without.
The future keeps changing. We'll see a little bit more of the future as well to see if it's true or not.
So you're saying Black Saturn may change? That's what you're saying, huh?
Very possible.
Very possible.
So when writing a show like this, you put together all these actors, and each actor brings its own personality. What character would you say has changed most due to the actor that you put in that place?
I always point to Jillian Bell as a perfect example. We knew we wanted this character in the first season of Lex, who is, Titanium Rex's daughter,
But no one knew how to write her.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
everybody
Like,
who
how do you-
wrote,
she was
everyone
the
who
dramatic, character.
Yeah, and everyone who wrote her tried to make her funny in a different way, and none of them felt right. And so by the time Jillian got that first script, there weren't a lot of jokes in it, and I was very nervous. But then Jillian is hilarious, and any line that she made, she would either improvise and add a little something to it that made it funny, or just the attitude with which she read it.
Yeah, what words she was
hilarious.
accentuating in a sentence changed everything that you were thinking, and then Zeb, started writing it knowing the voice in his head.
Yeah.
And then I think that changed the way that character is now, plays out, and it's one of my favorite characters in the show. I think she crushes it.
I do think I'm.
No comment.
I do feel like I'm seeing through time right now.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all been here before, and might be here for the rest of our lives.
You guys have all done different voices on the show, on Robot Chicken, and I've asked you guys before when I've seen you, like, what your favorite voice was, but with this one, what's your favorite one that the other actors here have done?
Oh boy, that's tough for me. Zeb, for me, the favorite voice that he does is the groaner, hands down.
It's so hard on my voice.
Yeah.
Do you mean favorite voice on Supermansion?
No, just in
Okay.
general. My favorite Brecken voice. This is tough. It's
It's an insult or a
no,
compliment?
there's like
I don't like
three
anything
that
he
I always
does.
go to. His Superman is wonderful. It's probably Boba Fett is probably the one that makes me the happiest. And then I have this weird sensation being a Jew that I love is Jesus.
It's okay. It's okay.
I know it's
He was a
very
nice
bizarre.
Jewish boy.
Yeah, it's true.
My favorite Brecken was when you played He-Man's dad.
Oh,
King
Randor.
King Randor.
Yeah.
And then,
Pretty
did
good.
you improv that song at the end?
Yeah.
The cat's
the cradle. Yeah, scared.
And your dad is scared. And He-Man's dad ends
Yeah.
up in an old folks home at the end.
Yeah.
And-
Well,
My favorite Zeb thing by far is was it Dengar?
Oh, yeah.
It was Dengar, which he did on the robot, the Star Wars specials, and it's also very similar to Luke, which I like as well. Yeah, and then Matt, weren't you
I
in
don't-
Flash?
I don't play.
Wasn't the Flash?
He's
Flash
the
is
Flash.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt's Flash is great. It's
Yeah.
similar in like
Because it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's kind of
what
like
makes it-
in the British Office, like an episode of the British Office where it's so painful that it's great. Matt's Flash.
I agree with you.
But I think the amazing thing, like he mentioned Randor, but like Zeb did Fumbles.
Oh,
this
yeah.
this skit about a GI Joe sniper
Oh, yeah.
named Fumbles, and that and Randor as well. My favorite things in the world about Robot, which we've been doing for 13 years or whatever, is when something, because it is a real singular writing style. I write this thing, and then if they like it, it goes, and that's it. It's very rare that two people are writing whatever. But Fumbles, which was all Zeb, but it was
all of us.
It was brainstormed
Yeah.
in the room, and the same as King Randor. King Randor came about by me pissing off Doug Goldstein, who's the other head writer on Robot, because I was bored and I had an action figure in front of me, and so it was a King Randor action figure. It just became this thing of like, hey buddy, what are you doing? Oh, you're working? My bad. You know, and I would just bother him all day doing that, and I would just keep trying to start conversations with him. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you're working.
you're working,
You know,
you're working,
You're
you're
working.
working.
And so, and then that became part of the show, but it was such an organic way of coming about a character. And Fumbles, same thing. Fumbles is one of my favorite sketches we've ever done on Robot, partly just because it's fucking Zeb's voice, which I love, but it's also, it came about in the room in this fun, organic way. And
Yeah, I think when I pitched it, it was just Fumbles getting a new name and getting angry, and then
Right.
Tom Root and Brecken started riffing on what the continuing adventures of him would be, and then
Yeah.
I think you did say the name's Fumbles.
Right.
You know, like you pitched at the end
Right,
that
right.
he would accept.
Right,
his
he would
name
accept
and
his,
say, no.
accept his shitty
No,
name.
no, it's Fumbles. It was
Yeah.
always
It's
Fumbles.
always
Yeah.
It was always
That's
Fumbles,
right.
right?
Yeah.
I did that thing where I knew something was funny about it, but
You
I couldn't
waited to get
remember.
to it?
Yeah, I couldn't remember
That's
what
the
it was.
mutant
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You haven't drank enough yet.
Yeah, drink a little more, you can go back in time and do it again.
Fly around the world.
Yeah.
Backwards.
Oh yeah.
With Robot Chicken, you guys do a lot of songs, hip hop, old stuff like that. Is there any plan to like incorporate that into Supermansion more? So that you
Yeah.
like a full musical episode?
I think there's something. I don't know if we go full musical, but there's an episode that I think you guys will very much like, where we meet the '90s version of the League, and they do like a Super Bowl shuffle type a rap song at the beginning, which is absolutely terrible.
Yeah. But yet brilliant in that
But
way.
yeah.
There's nothing
But we
better than
definitely
watching.
we pushed it a little bit. We have a great music guy, Kurt Oldman, that can pretty much do anything. So we've done a few terrible rap songs and maybe even a "We Are the World" type song. There's some good stuff for sure.
Team building karaoke.
Something to look forward to for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And then we'll ask Sony to put it out on an
CD.
iTunes. Yeah, an iTunes.
A CD.
A vinyl,
CD.
a
Yeah.
cassette tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I get an 8-track?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.